goal we could have accomplished today is now soon behind us. In the past, we as individuals have strived and achieved for certain goals we've set for ourselves. We've won some and we've lost some. But today we have before us an objective standard that we've all achieved, and we are all now gaining recognition. And as we move on, we realize that this was just the first stepping stone in our life. But we all got here with one common value, and that was hard work. Let's not kid ourselves the next few days as we enjoy the benefits of being a high school graduate. We all made it here through dedication, hard work, determination, and consistency. And those same forces will continue to drive us the rest of our lives. So as we move on, let's not forget where we came from. Let's remember, let us celebrate, let us go on. Thank you.
Today, to share this occasion with the 505 graduating seniors of the class of 1987. The first award today is the Alpha Delta Kappa Scholarship, presented by Betty Schmidt. National Honorary Sorority for Women Educators, and we're very honored today to present to three girls a scholarship that has helped them with their college education. Charlotte Stern, Michael Ann Hood, and Amber McCollum. Is the Price Humanities.
The Price Humanities Scholarship was established by the Price family to honor a senior girl who plans to continue her pursuit of excellence by attending a good college or university. The selection committee takes into account all aspects of the individual rather than limiting criteria to test scores or grade point average. The amount of the scholarship has varied over the years depending upon individual circumstances, from $2,000 to $10,000 per year. The scholarship is also unique in that it usually continues through graduate study. Our recipient this year, who will study an area of the humanities at MIT, is Heather Leary.
Represents James H. Field, American Legion Post 105. Present our Americanism Award to two outstanding students from your school. Mark Lansdowne and Angela Dowd.
Family of Tammy Reed, I would like to present two awards. Our son grew up with both of these seniors, and we're very proud to present the Family Living Award to Becky DeSom and the Key Club Award to David Sepulveda.
On behalf of the Bartlesville branch of the American Association of University Women, it gives me great pleasure to award our yearly scholarship to Shiona Patterson, and I wish her the best.
College scholarship to a graduating senior for work in the area of journalism. The Examiner Enterprise, in conjunction with the American Newspaper Publishers Association, also recognizes the outstanding staffer on the student publication The Fourth Estate. This year's recipient has contributed to the journalism program in school as well as outside of school. He has worked in the afternoons and on weekends at the Examiner Enterprise for over a year behind the scenes on cable newspaper Channel 30. Please join me in congratulating this year's scholarship winner and most valuable staffer, Jackie Daniels.
Bartlesville Chapter Award to a very lovely young lady, Shiona Gale Patterson.
all the families, relatives, and friends are gathered together at this graduation. Thank you for watching over this class and bringing us the warmth of friendship. We are grateful for all the support and encouragement of those who have helped us through these years of our lives. God, we ask you to be with us as we celebrate and receive diplomas. Give us strength to succeed, especially in the hard times when we have difficulty in deciding right from wrong and making choices when it is not clear which road we should follow. Give us the courage to reach out and help others who need our support. We pray in your most holy name. Amen.
To endure. After a while, you learn the subtle difference between holding a hand and training a soul. And you learn that love doesn't mean leaning, and company doesn't mean security. And you begin to learn that kisses aren't contracts, and presents aren't promises. And you begin to accept your defeats with your head up and your eyes open, with the grace of an adult, not the grief of a child. And you learn to build all your roads on today, because tomorrow's grounds are too uncertain for plans. After a while, you learn that even sunshine burns if you get too much. So plant your own garden and decorate your own soul instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers. And you learn that you really do have worth, you really can endure, and you really are strong. And you learn, and you learn, and with every farewell, you learn.
On behalf of the students of the class of 1987, we, the Student Council, would like to welcome family, faculty, friends, and any special guests we may have this evening to the 5th Annual Commencement Exercises of Bartlesville High School. Tonight celebrates the completion of our high school years. We all gather together in our caps and gowns with many memories of times past in anticipation of learning and living experiences ahead of us. We have worked hard to complete our goals, the goals that have carried us to this very night.
Good evening. It is with great pleasure that I introduce some of the honored guests who are with us this evening. From the Board of Education, Mrs. Barbara McCoy, President. Mrs. Loretta Ramsey, Vice President. Mrs. Ida Fields, Secretary. Mr. Bob Horn, Member. Mr. Joe Faulkner, Member. Mr. Dick Thompson, Member. And Mr. Wendell Thompson, Member.
Members of the Central Office Administration staff are Dr. Gary Toothaker, Superintendent, Mr. Bill Biersmith, Assistant Superintendent for Instruction, and Dr. Emma Jean Chambers, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
The Bartlesville High School administration and staff are Mr. Ben West, Principal, Dr. Kathy Barlow, Assistant Principal, Mr. Ron Jared, Vice Principal, Mr.
Mr. Robert Touchstone, Bartlesville High School speech teacher. Our other invited guest is Dr. Ray Nixon, pastor of Disciples Christian Church.
Our speaker for this evening is Mr. Leroy B. Shepard. Since moving to Bartlesville, Leroy has been actively involved with the community and its young people. He currently serves on the board of directors for the Bartlesville JCs, Bartlesville Advanced Toastmasters, Westside Community Center, and the Blue STEM Girl Scout Council. He also serves as a member of the Bartlesville Public School Foundation Fundraising Committee and the Selective Service Board. Leroy has become a much requested speaker and trainer, sharing his insights about life to hundreds of audiences throughout.
Mr. Shepard is associated with First National Bank here in Bartlesville and L&M Limited. Tonight, he will share his views on the mountains, valleys, and rivers of life in his own very unique way. It is always his hope that in some way the young people of today will appreciate the value of life. So will you please welcome Mr. Leroy B. Shepard with his speech entitled, Life, Those Mountains, Those Valleys, Those Rivers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Leroy B. Shepard.
I'm not going to turn my back on them, so I decided to stand out here. Bartlesville High School seniors, 1987. There ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough. What should we hope it is tonight, right? When I was growing up, that was it. That was rap for us. That was a big song. Rap now is Run DMC, the Beastie Boys, LL Cool J. Back then, rap for us was when we talked to a girl. I'm not that old. But we would say to the girls, and we'd use these lines from the songs, and back then we had high voices. We talk like this. But you'd talk to the girls, and you'd have to bring it down and say, baby, I just want you to know that there ain't no mountain high enough, no valley low enough, and no river ever wide enough to keep me from getting you. And the girls liked it because they thought you were suave and debonair and original. And they would go like, woo! Then they'd hear it on the radio the next week. It just blew everything. Mountains, valleys, and rivers. The mountains are those little problems you face on the way to reaching your dreams. The valleys are those low points you have because you feel bad because you're not doing it. And then the river, that's the challenge in life. The challenge in life. Give me an example. When I was going to school, there used to be this one big mountain I used to face every day. We call him BB. We just hold his name, protect the innocent, which is me right now. But BB was 6 foot, 395 pounds in the 3rd grade. But BB liked school, especially in 3rd grade. He liked it so much he came back 9 years straight. Every day, I'd be on my way to school. I never did like that because they called us sissies when we did that. But anyway, just walking merrily along, the BB stopped me and says, Leroy, you know you got to pay the cost if you want to walk the block. And every day I'd give BB my money. And I'd trace this mountain day in and day out, and I'd be in the valley because I kept thinking, God, I got to do something, you know? I mean, this guy keeps taking my money every day. So one day I said, I'm going to talk to him. I said, BB, look, I know you're tough, and you can beat me up, you can smash my face and all this, so why don't you just let me go? And because after all, I can't eat lunch. BB said, Leroy, if I don't take your money, I can't eat lunch either. So that didn't work. So anyway, I went home and I was talking to my father. And fathers always give you great advice. And he says, you know, son, once I came home, a bully was picking on me. My brother made me go back and fight him. And this is the time you realize you're in trouble. So anyway, he said, I just attacked that bully. Because I want you to know that the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And these guys are really more afraid of you than you are of them. And I started thinking, well, maybe this is true. Maybe he is afraid of me. And so the next day I went to school and I was positive. And you know when you got a positive attitude, you walk like this, shoulders back, chest out, and then you get to your confrontation. It's kind of like, oh God. So I kept thinking, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. This guy is really afraid of me. He's afraid of me. He's afraid of me. I said, Leroy, here's some money. And I said, I'm not going to pay you. He says, well, you know I got to take it out of your house. And I said, go for it. And I was just swinging. I was crying and tears running down and stuff running on my nose and everything. And I was just going crazy. And I kept thinking, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. This guy's really afraid of me. And suddenly I realized, that wasn't true. He beat the snot out of me. The one thing I found when I faced that mountain is that he never, ever bothered me again. I don't know if he respected me or he just kind of got tired beating up on me. But the thing is, we all face mountains, valleys, and rivers. Today I face an even bigger mountain. As I try to convey to you the importance of believing in yourself, the importance of taking responsibility for your world, the importance of never, ever giving up on your dreams. Ever. And I dedicate this to all the people back in my old neighborhood, that those that dreamed and made it and those that didn't. May God be with them. Mountains, valleys, and rivers. Dreamers are what makes this world great. John F. Kennedy said, we need men that can dream things that never were. Dream things that never were. Now today we say we need people that can dream things that never were. The dreamers are the ones that took us from stagecoach to buses to trains to planes. We got dreamers in this audience tonight. People that might one day have the answer for world hunger. That may have the answer for the national deficit. And yes, maybe the answer for world peace. You know, we look at dreamers and we think that these are people who just seem to walk around and own the world. But the dreamers are the ones that make the difference. Because, see, dreams are so much more than visions. Dreams are the foundations of reality. Dreams plus determination is a great equalizer. Because it tears down those fear barriers. It tears down those economic barriers. It tears down those intelligence barriers. Dreams make the difference. Dreams are what made this country great. Dreamers like Martin Luther King Jr., who dreamed of peace and equality, and his dream was so strong that he was willing to give his very life for it. And he faced mountains. And he faced mountains we'll never, ever, ever be able to understand. He faced valleys each and every day. But he was willing to take the challenge and cross the river. Then you take the young entrepreneurial spirit of a Fred Smith, A young man, while going to Yale Business College, had this brilliant dream of a business he wanted to create. And he had this dream that was so strong, he wrote his term paper about it. And when it came back, the college professor said, look, it's a good idea. We'll have to give you a C-. Because you see, there is no way in the world anyone will ever pay to send mail overnight so they can use a mail service. Now, Fred, he was kind of dumb. He was a dreamer, and he wasn't going to give up on it. He stuck to his guns. He said, I'm going to try it anyway. Got his own business together. And the first day in business, they planned to send out a couple of hundred letters. They sent out 7. 5 were theirs. Fred had it all on the line. He had buildings, he had planes, his reputation, all his finances. He said, I'm not going to give up. He said, we sent out 7 letters good, we'll just have to increase the quantity. And I would imagine today that some of those same professors are sending things by Federal Express. And Fred Smith at that time was making an income of approximately $60 million a year. Now, I know you say, how can anyone live on $60 million a year? But you can budget and, you can work it in. Then we have the other dreamers, like a Rick Hansen, driving down the road in his pickup truck. He has an accident off the side of the road. At the age of 15, spinal cord severed. He's confined to a wheelchair. Did he face a mountain? Yeah, he faced a mountain. Can you imagine suddenly losing the use of your legs? Being confined to a wheelchair? Yeah, he faced a mountain. And in a valley, too, because you can imagine all the dreams that were shattered. 12 years later, he had another dream. He wanted to increase the awareness of all the handicapped people, and he wanted to raise money for research. So he had this brilliant idea. He was going to take his wheelchair, and he was going to manually propel it around the world. People started making bets. Well, he'll leave Vancouver, British Columbia, and I bet he'll get as far as Seattle. Yep, Seattle, that sounds good to me. Rick got as far as Seattle. In fact, he crossed 34 countries and covered 25,000 miles in 26 months in a wheelchair. He met with the Pope. He scaled the Great Wall of China. And it's still in China, they have something they call the Great Miracle, where he was rolling along in his wheelchair, and there were wheelchair athletes there, and they all rode along with him. And they saw his courage and his determination. They packed up their wheelchairs and walked away. He faced the mountains. His bus was wrecked. This one that followed him in Florida. In Shanghai, his clothes were stolen. He faced all the weather elements, much worse than anything we could ever face. He's outside in a wheelchair. And his goal was to raise $7 million for research. And when he came rolling back into Canada, they had this big trust fund set up for him. And it was going to have all this money in it. When he got there, rolling into Canada, $128,000 in his trust fund. He could have quit. He could have stopped in. But he had a dream, and he stuck to his dream. And he kept rolling and rolling. And people started to see that this man was for real. He wanted to see something actually happen. 20,000 people lined the streets as he rolled in. And when he finally crossed the finish line, $11 million had been raised. Don't tell me you can't do something. Don't tell me something's impossible when a man can take a wheelchair and roll it around the world. Don't ever tell me it's impossible. If you've got dreams, if you believe in them, stick with them. Because the biggest mountain you'll ever face, is when you sit back in your easy chair and the person you are beats the person you could have been. We just celebrated Memorial Day. Some years ago, I picked up something from a friend of mine in Florida. It's really pretty apropos. It's a little bit dated, but it's very apropos to this situation. A young lady wrote this down in Dallas on Memorial Day. I'd like to share it with you. Call, but you didn't. I remember when you picked me up on a very first date. I kept you waiting for over an hour. I thought you'd leave, but you didn't. Then there was a time that I spilt my blueberry malt all over the front of your new white three-piece suit. Oh, God, and I thought you'd scream and holler and call me clumsy, but you didn't. And then there was a time that we went to the dance. Now, I forgot to tell you it was formal, and you were in your blue jeans, and I just knew you'd scream and holler and jump up and down and go nuts, but you didn't. And then the time that I wanted to go to the beach, and you told me it would rain, but we went anyway. And just like today, it poured all day long. I just knew you'd say, I told you so, but you didn't. And then there was a time that we got married. And I lost the keys to the car, and we couldn't even leave the front of church. And I just knew you were going to run around telling everyone it was all my fault. But you didn't. And then when our first child was born, now it was a girl. Now I know all you talked about for 9 solid months was a boy. I knew when you got to the hospital, you'd be upset, you'd be disappointed, and you just blame everything on me and say it's all my fault. But you didn't. You loved me, you cared for me, you put up with me through the good times and the bad. And there were so many things I wanted to say to you, so many things I wanted to do for you. When you came home from Vietnam. But you didn't. My friends, what I want to say to you tonight is I don't want you to ever have to look back and say, but I didn't. Believe in yourselves. Take responsibility for your world. Don't blame anyone else for what happened. Take responsibility for your world. And be the best that you can be. And never, ever give up on your dreams. Because one day it's going to read extra, read the latest. The class of '87, they really were the greatest. Got a little line there. Because no mountain was high enough. No valley was ever low enough. And no river ever wide enough to stop them now. God bless you. Good luck.
Tonight, as we complete the story of the class of 1987, let's take a moment and reflect upon the story of how our class began. The year was 1974, and we were preparing for the big first grade. While walking into the school, we were struggling to keep our big chief tablets and boxes of crayons under control, while not wanting to let go of Mother's comforting hand. As Mother, with tears in her eyes, pointed to the overwhelming classroom door, she said goodbye. We entered into a classroom full of strangers who would soon become some of our closest friends. As the years progressed, our big chief tablets and boxes of crayons gave way to spiral notebooks and number 2 pencils. Still wishing Mother's comforting hand was there, but not willing to admit it, we entered into the junior high. Junior high was a time for firsts. our first schedule, our first school dance, our first boyfriend or girlfriend, and for some of us, our first ski-slip. The Mid-High brought about the beginning of our class, the class of 1987. Once again, the new surroundings brought about new experiences, challenges, and friends. And of course, who could forget our newly found friend, Buddy? We all hated to leave the benefits of the Mid-High, the closed campus, the jukebox, the restrictions of the halls during lunchtime, but the administration insisted we go to the high school.
Entering the high school was a monumental event in all of our lives. We all survived the grueling academic challenges of our junior year to arrive at the day we thought would never arrive. Today we became seniors of the class of 1987. Whenever we reflect upon our senior year, we must not only remember the good times, but also the bad. Our class and community suffered through the most devastating flood in Bartlesville's history. We also had a canceled Winter Sports Festival and a canceled homecoming festivities as well. And one event that is evident to all of us here this evening is that we, the class of 87, are the first to hold our commencement ceremonies here in the community center. We, the class of 1987, are the biggest, with 505 graduates. But we are also the best, proving ourselves not only by excelling athletically, by many of our teams winning state titles, but also academically with the most national merit finalists in the state. Although the story of our class is coming to an end, it will never be finished, for our memories and legacies will last in eternity. As an anonymous author reminds us that you have to climb to attain your dreams. You have to climb. If you're looking for good apples, you'll not find them on the ground. The ones that lie around your feet are spotted and unsound. If you want the finest apples, you will have to climb the tree, for there upon the highest limb, the finest ones you'll see.
And when you taste the biggest one and find it sweet and sound, you'll be so glad you did not fool with those upon the ground. So if you want the best in life, you'll have to climb life's tree. There's no one standing there to give it to you free.
You'll have to climb, and climbing's work, but if you climb with prayer, you'll finally reach the highest limb with the best things hanging there. And when you taste the sweet reward of faith and hope and love, you'll say, I'm glad I left the ground and climbed a higher.
Seriously, this has been a very enjoyable class. Parents are to be commended on such fine students. We do have an exceptional class this year. So, with that, Dr. Toothaker, Mrs. McCoy, members of the Board of Education, as principal of Bartlesville High School, it gives me great amount of pleasure to present to you at this time the fifth and the largest graduating class of Bartlesville High School, the class of 1987. I recommend that the members of the class, having completed all requirements for graduation, as set forth by the state of Oklahoma, the Bartlesville Board of Education, and national accrediting agencies, be now awarded the high school diploma. Will the class please come forward? My first gift. Catherine Agnes Abeda.
Put it on the other way, Wes.
Michael Lawrence Adair. Eric Adams. Melvin Leroy Alexander II.
Melvin Leroy Alexander II. Daniel Alcock. Sean Allred. Brett W. Anderson. Donovan James Anderson. Michael David Anderson. Michelle Diane Anderson. Terry Kathleen Anderson. Derek Daniels Armstrong. Derek Daniels Armstrong. Troy David Armstrong. Jane Ann Arnold. Bradley Allen Askins. Anne Marie Atkins. Georgia A. Axis. Robert Thomas Ayers. David Christopher Babcock. Michael David Bailey. Patricia Lynn Baird. Britt James Baker. Gregory Neal Ballard. Shane Scott Ballard. Stephen Wayne Ballard. Shannon Elaine Barron. Amber Lynn Bartholomew. Darian J. Bachman. Darian J. Bachman. David C. Beard. Paul Wayne Becker. Stephen Ray Bennett. London Bentley. Scott London Bentley. Brad P. Benz. Julia Ellen Brevin. Daryl Curtis Betts. Catherine Mary Buemiller. You're the last one in the first group. Elizabeth Dawn Billings. Very good. Bradley Sly Billingsley. Jeffrey Lynn Billieu. Aaron Kelly Bishop. Bizzari? Nancy Ann Bizzari. Daniel Leroy Blackwood. Stephanie Diane Bodie. Julie Lynette Bonner. Mary Janice Bowen. Kara Lynn Braden. Catherine K. Brandenburg Lynch. Catherine K. Brandenburg Lynch. Christina Lynn Brannon. Christina Lynn Brannon. Wendy Kathleen Bray. Wendy Kathleen Bray. Cheryl Marie Breckeisen. Oh, I know you. Eric Bruce Brookbank. Devin T. Devin T. Brotherton. Deborah Sue Brown. Monica Tracy Brown. Michelle Buchanan. Laura Michelle Buchanan. Winston N. Bowie. Winston N. Bowie. Bergen. Kenneth Bergen. Vicki Jo Burwell. Jane Leslie Bushman. Jane Leslie Busboon. Lori Ann Butler. Stephen Thomas Taylor. Stephen Thomas Cales. I don't like that. Susan G. Shamley. Lisa Renee Chapman. Lisa Renee Chapman. Alan Lee Christensen. Kimberly Clark. Thomas D. Clay. Thomas D. Clay. Heather Catherine Cleary. Heather Catherine Cleary. Timothy Allen Klingon. Randolph L. Cody. Scott D. Coyle. Sharon K. Coyle. Sharon K. Cole. Joel Vern. Joel Vern Collins. Evan? Scott Evan Cohn. Andrew Allen Connor. Cottom, thank you. Lance David Cottom. Heidi Lynette Nichols. Heidi Lynette Nichols. Anya B. Covington. Cheryl Lynn Cox. Gregory Allen Cox. Michael Eugene Cox. Carrie J. Cosby? Yes, sir. Carrie J. Cosby. Catherine Elizabeth Crabtree. Catherine Elizabeth Crabtree. Okay. John Mark Crawley. John Mark Crawley. Mark Evan Crocker. Wait just a minute. Mark Evan Crocker. Diane Marie Cabbage. Stephanie Renee Collison. Stephanie Renee Collison. Ted Allen Cundiff. Jan Marie Cunningham. Kristen? Sean Christie Cunningham. Jacques Edward Dameril. Eileen Dorothy Danziger?
Danziger.
Danziger, okay. Eileen? Eileen Dorothy Danziger. Monica? Claudia Daum? Daum. Monica Claudia Daum. Leanne Dent. Got it. Leanne Dent. Rebecca Ray DeSong. Gary Marvin DeShawn. Correct. Not too much stuff. Okay. Gary Marvin DeShawn. Carla Marie Dew. Carla Marie Dew. Kristen Adele Dion. Kristen Adele Dion. Leslie Ann Derrigo. Thank you. Leslie Ann Derrigo. Angela Marie Doubt. Angela Marie Doubt. Kent Doty. Doty or Stephen Kent Doty. Susan Page Drake. Susan Page Drake. Yana Dranis. Andrew David Dreiling. Andrew David Dreiling. Jennifer Francis Droge. Jennifer Francis Droge. Anthony Arnold DeBose. Anthony Arnold DeBose. Pamela Lynn Duncan. Pamela Lynn Duncan. Kristen Louise Dutcher. I don't know who you are. Kristen Louise Dutcher. Kenneth Ray Early. Kenneth Ray Early. Gregory Brian Eaton. Gregory Brian Eaton. Scott Allen Eccleston. Scott Allen Eccleston. Nicole Lynn Edwards. Nicole Lynn Edwards. Richard Allen Edwards. Richard Allen Edwards. Brian David Ellsbury. Brian David Ellsbury. Neil Brian Ennis. Kelly Raylyn Epps. Julie Lynn Ivanko. Sheila Evans. Michael Reed Ewing. Michael Reed Ewing. Jeffrey E. Foley. Angela Ann Fangmeyer. Belinda Fannin. Belinda Fannin. Cynthia Diane Farley. Cynthia Diane Farley. Brian W. Farnsworth. Brian W. Farnsworth. Mary C. Faulkner. Mary C. Faulkner. Amy Diane Fernside. Christine Deanna Featherston. Christine Deanna Featherston. You ready to go for it, Renee? Kathy Renee Fee. Jeffrey Eric Finstermaker. Jeffrey Eric Finstermaker. Warren Cameron Field. Warren Cameron Field. Kimberly Denise Fields. Carla Jo Fish. David Fleming. Amber Dawn Floyd. Carolyn Fox. Cheryl Lynn Fowler. Terry M. French. Terry M. French. Kyle Eric Fritch. Kyle Eric Fritch. Derek Evan Fritz. Derek Evan Fritz. Matthew James Fugit. Matthew James Fugit. Alan Ray Foltz. Michelle Gann. Kendi Garrett. Gartner? Yeah. Wayne Joseph Gartner. Very good. Bill Gay. Catherine Josephine Gay. Kathy Jo Gay. Kathy Jo Gay. Deborah Renee George. Deborah Renee George. Michael David Guerin. Vanessa Ray Gilland. Eddie Gilland. Sherry Lynn Gilliland. Terry Lee Gilliland. Wendy Sue Geezy. Maria Lee Gleemore. Maria Lee Gleemore. Frank Goman. Catherine Clay Gobach. Catherine Clay Gobach. Thomas Arthur Gorman. You're coming back. Thomas Arthur Gorman. Julie, right? Julie Ann Gottardi. Cale C. Grumman? Cale C. Grumman. Lachelle Renee Grayson. Lachelle Renee Grayson. Shelley Lynette Green. I know you. Shelley Lynette Green. Get this right, please. David Ronald Grigsby. Manali Gupta. Emily Jane Hackett. Tiffany Lee Haynes. J. Martin Hainsinger. J. Martin Hainsinger. Shane Ann Hainsinger. Heather M. Hamilton. Heather M. Hamilton. Michael Blaine Hamilton. Michael Blaine Hamilton. Michelle Renee Hankinson. Rhonda Lorraine. Rhonda Lorraine Hardacre. Catherine Harp. Catherine Harp. Robert Christopher Harrell. Robert Christopher Harrell. Stephanie K. Harris. Douglas Stephen Hauge. Sonia Lee Hauser. Sonia Lee Hauser. Deborah Elaine Heath. Deborah Elaine Heath. James Lee Heath. James Lee Heath. Renee Dawn Heck. Jesse S. Heidemann. Jesse S. Heidemann. Whitney DeJean Helm. Whitney DeJean Helm. William Edward Henry. William Edward Henry. Joseph R. Hensley. Joseph R. Hensley. Jill Ann Herbert. Jill Ann Herbert. Stephen Allen Harrington. Stephen Allen Harrington. Michael James Hessert. Michael James Hessert. Stephanie Georgette Higgins. Stephanie Georgette Higgins. Melissa Susan Hemstreet. Melissa Susan Hemstreet. Melanie Hinton. How are you? Long time. Melanie Hinton. Brian Vincent Horde. Brian Vincent Horde. Brian Douglas Horde. Brian Douglas Hoy. Jason Douglas Hoffman. Stephanie Dawn Holly. Stephanie Dawn Holly. Claudine Susan Holman. Claudine Susan Holman. Carl Clayton Holloway. You got it, no, you don't want the third one. Carl Clayton Holloway. Kyle Joseph Hoover. Yes. Kyle Joseph Hoover. Martha W. Hopkins. Martha W. Hopkins. Jennifer Howe. Laura Mary Howenstein. Joseph Paul Romanic. Joseph Paul Romanic. Mike Young Shao. Delary K. Hudson. Just a minute. Delary K. Hudson. Susan Dale Hudson. Charles Eric Herder. Stephanie Ann Hugo. Kendra K. Hiding. Kendra K. Hiding. Michael Dwayne Hunter. Michael Dwayne Hunter. Megan Lee Hester. Megan Lee Houston. Richard Gene Height. Kip Douglas Imgren. Jennifer I. Inman. Jennifer I. Inman. Valerie Jean Irvin. Valerie Jean Irving. Diane Cheryl Jacobson. Diane Cheryl Jacobson. Christine Annette Jansen. Christine Annette Jansen. Kelly Jo Jeffries. Kelly Jo Jeffries. Wendy Dawn Jeffries. Wendy Dawn Jeffers. Kelly Michelle Jenkins. Kelly Michelle Jenkins. Barry Dwayne Jensen. Barry Dwayne Jensen. Tammy Lee Jandro. Tammy Lee Jandro. Shannon Elaine John. Clifford Ray Johnson. Clifford Ray Johnson. Franklin Ray Johnson. Franklin Ray Johnson. Samantha Ann Johnson. Samantha Ann Johnson. Timothy Frank Johnson. Timothy Frank Johnson. Robin Rochelle Johnston. Robin Rochelle Johnston. Tracy Dawn Johnston. Tracy Dawn Johnston. Brian E. Jones. Yes. Brian E. Jones. Deborah Diane Jones. James Michael Jones. Yes. James Michael Jones. Lori Jean Jones. Lori Jean Jones. Kelly Lee Jordan. Kelly Lee Jordan. Crystal Raylyn Joy. Crystal Raylyn Joy. John Malcolm Joyce. John Malcolm Joyce. James Jacob Jones. Yep. All right. James Jacob Jump. Darren Dion Just. Darren Dion Just. Angela Irene Keene. Angela Irene Keene. Stephanie Kelleher. Stephanie Joe. Stephanie Joe Kelleher. Stephen Scott Kerr. Carrie Elizabeth Kyle. Hey, Mr. President. Hi, Sean Allen King. How you doing? Pretty good. I saw that. Go. Good. Sean Allen King. Stephanie K. King. Stephanie K. King. George Allen Kirchner. George Allen Kirchner. Kurt Wayne Korn? Yes. Kurt Wayne Korn. Laura Ray Pitko. Lori Ray Kramer. Lori Ray Kramer. Scott Allen Kruger. Scott Allen Kruger. Deborah Marie Labadie. Deborah Marie Labadie. Brett D. Lacey. Brett D. Lacey. Stephen P. Lacey. Yes. Stephen P. Lacey. Robert David Lacey. Robert David Lacey. Kelly Michelle Landon. Kelly Michelle Lambring. Mark Justin Lansing. Mark Justin Lansdowne. Susan Elizabeth Latham. Susan Elizabeth Latham. Robert Leonard Latham Jr. Robert Leonard Latham Jr. Teresa Eva Lauren. Teresa Eva Lauren. Jimmy Lee Lay. Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Jimmy Lee Lay. Andreas Leonard. Okay. Andreas Leonard. James E. Lee. James E. Lee. Jerry Lee. Lemon. Gary Lemon. Thank you. Michelle Ann LaRue. Michelle Renee Lewis. Michelle Renee Lewis. Stacy Minette Lindsley. Stacy Minette Lindsley. Pamela K. Livingston. Douglas Allen Logston. I think I know you. Douglas Allen Logston. Bruce A. Long. Bruce A. Long. LaDonna M. Long. Michael Victor Long. Michael Victor Long. Joanne Lovell. Lavelle or Lovell? Joanne Lovell. Cecilia Lowe. Cecilia Lowe. Kevin Lowe. Kevin Lowe. Larry Lynn. Larry Lynn Lowe. Ernest Luder. Ernest Luder. Stephen Michael Lyon. Stacy Renee Maddox. Julie Ann Makovic. John Allen Manley. John Allen Manley. Melanie K. Manley. Melissa Ann Marquez. Barry Wayne Marshall. Barry Wayne Marshall. Cheryl Renee Mathis. Michael Stephen Mathis. Jennifer Carol Matthews. Jennifer Carol Matthews. Meredith Megan Maxwell. Meredith Megan Maxwell. Robert Lee Mays. Robert Lee Mays. Paul Thomas Mikulecki. Stephen Scott Milburn. Martin Matthew Milford. Martin M. Milford. Rebecca Regina Milford. Rebecca Regina Milford. Hold on. Carla Ann Miller. Carla Ann Miller. Carla Ann Miller. Darla Ann Miller. Kelly Diane. Kelly Diane Miller. Brett David. Got it. Brett David Milligan. Brett David Milligan. Heather Elizabeth Mills. Heather Elizabeth Mills. Melinda Carroll. Melinda Carroll Mills. Carrie Lee Mingle. Carrie Lee Mingle. John Winston Mock. John Winston Mock. Michael Anthony Moxagemba. 2 years. Michael Anthony Moxagemba. Deborah K. Moncrief. Deborah K. Moncrief. Catherine Louise Moore. Catherine Louise Moore. Kenna Page Moore. Kenna Page Moore. Richard Squire Moore. Richard Squire Moore. David Owen Morris. David Owen Morris. Keith Allen Mosier. Keith Allen Mosier. Sean E. Mueller. Sean E. Mueller. Got it. Sean E. Mueller. Jonna Ray Murphy. Jonna Ray Murphy. Laura G. Murphy. Laura Jean Murphy. Lori Lynn Murphy. Lori Lynn Murphy. Travis Kane Murphy. Travis Kane Murphy. Gregory Charles. We'll lay it on. Gregory Charles McCarthy. Matthew David McCoy. Matthew David McCoy. Angela Denise McKnight. Phil McClory. Phil McClory. Anthony St. Stephen. Mark Anthony St. Stephen McMichael. Frank Allen McNichol. Laith. Laith Nyam. Paul David Nelson. You did real fine. Yeah. Paul David Nelson. Edward Lemuel Newton. Yes. Edward Lemuel Newton III. Kim Nguyen. Craig D. Nichols. Yep. Come on up. Craig D. Nichols. Melody Dawn Nimmo. Melody Dawn Nimmo. Andrea Ray Nixon. Julie Ann O'Mealy. Julie Ann O'Mealy. Diane Suzanne Osborne. Dana Suzanne Osborne. Bradley Allen Pate. Got it. Bradley Allen Pate. Eric William Palmeyer. Eric William Palmeyer. Eileen May Paris. Eileen May Paris. Michael Christian Paris. Michael Christian Paris. Carabeth Pasquale. Cara Beth Pasquale. Shona Gail Patterson. Shona Gail Patterson. Robert E. Payton. Patton. Get it right. Patton or Payton? Patton. Robert E. Patton. Charles J. Paul. Yes. Charles J. Paul. Stephen David. Yes. Stephen D. Paul. Heath Rogers Payne. Heath Rogers Payne. Sandra Jane. Sandra Jean Payton. Eric Peace. Eric Peace. Catherine Elise Petcher. Wait a minute. Catherine Elise Petcher. Michael Curtis Pelton. Michael Curtis Pelton. John Ronald Pennington. Yeah. John Ronald Pennington. Angela Perez. Patricia Perez. Terry Ray Petrie. Terry Ray Petrie. Janet Lee Phillips. Janet Lee Phillips. Virginia Margaret Pitzer. Virginia Margaret Pitzer. Celeste F. Poole. Celeste F. Poole. Kevin Michael Potts. Kevin Michael Potts. Amy Noel Powell. Amy Noel Powell. Colleen Lynn Pratt. Colleen Lynn Pratt. Stacy J. Pratt. Stacy J. Pratt. Tracy Gail Pendergrass. Tracy Gail Pendergrass. Michelle Ann Pruitt. Michael Ann Pruitt. Linda Purcell. Oh, you? Linda Purcell. Matthew Ward Purvis. Matthew Ward Purvis. Scott Michael Quinn. Rodney Dale Ramsey. Rodney Dale Ramsey. Christina Rander.
And if my hat falls off, I'm going to shoot some better.
Christina Rander. Patricia Elizabeth Ray. I know you met her. Patricia Elizabeth Ray. Jennifer Lee Reed. I know you too. Jennifer Lee Reed. Elizabeth Susan Reese. Elizabeth Susan Reese. Michelle Eileen Reed. Michelle Eileen. Michelle Eileen Reheis. Stacy L. Remick. Stacy L. Remick. Angela Dawn Remke. Angela Dawn Remke. Monica Nguyen Rupp. Monica Nguyen Rett. Jeffrey David Richards. Jeffrey David Richards. Oliver
Olivier.
Olivier Ricoux. Tondrell Monique Ridgway. Laura Jill Riley. Laura Jill Riley. Frederick Allen Roberts. Frederick Aiden Roberts. Stacy Diane. Stacy Diane Robertson. Deborah Michelle Robinson. Deborah Michelle Robinson. Jason Allen Rodenberg. I know you brought it. Jason Allen Rodenberg. Paul Rogers III. C. Dwayne Rury. Sherry Joy Russell. Principal. Sherry Joy Russell. Brian Lee Ryle? Yeah. Brian Lee Ryle. Jill Estelle Salisbury? Jill Estelle Salisbury. Colette Ann Santine. Oh, I knew you would. Somebody excuse you. Colette Ann Santine. Susan Renee Savage? You got a brother? Susan Renee Savage. Carolyn Shepley. Jeffrey Douglas Scott. Jeffrey Douglas Scott. George Sidney Scott. George Sidney Scott II. William H. Scott. Yes. William H. Scott. Victor David Sepulveda. Yeah. Victor David Sepulveda. Joe Wesley Shahan. Mara Shannon. Maya Shannon. Maya Shamlin. Scott Karras Shannon. Scott Karras Shannon. Lacey Angelica Lee Sharpton. Angelique Alicia. Lacey Alicia Lee Sharpton. Malcolm Curtis Shaw. Malcolm Curtis Shaw. David James Shaw. Eric Michael Shiblin. I know your brother. Yeah. Eric Michael Shiblin. Michael Shiflett. Michael Shiflett. Richard Todd Shipley. Got it. Richard Todd Shipley. Michelle Renee Shaw. Melissa Renee Shaw. Peter David Silas. Peter Edward Silas. Brian T. Stanley. Yeah. Me. That's right. That's on my check. Brian Keith Sims. Stephen Wade Sims. Stephen Wade Sims. Kevin Damon. Kevin Damon Sitton. Michelle Ann Skinner. Michelle Ann Skinner. And Amy Beth Skrzyncki. I can handle it. Amy Beth Skrzyncki. Daniel J. Slack Jr. Daniel J. Slack Jr. Yeah. Okay. Bud Smith. James Smith. Anne-Marie Smith. Anne-Marie Smith. Sarah Louise Sneed. Tamitha Lynn Snow. Tamitha Lynn Snow. Carrie Ann Sorrell. Carrie Ann Sorrell. Douglas Paul Stacy. Douglas Paul Stacy. John Joseph Stark. John Joseph Stark. Keith Allen Stark. Neil Edward Stark. Yes. Neil Edward Starkey. Andrew Lawrence. Andrew Lawrence Staskowitz. Laura Lynn Stevens. Laura Lynn Stevens. Lori Lee Stevens. Lori Lee Stevens. Julie Ann Stiggins. Dana Elaine Stott. Dana Elaine Stott. Melinda Jane Street. Amy Lorraine Stott. Amy Lorraine Stroud. James Michael Strum. James Michael Strum. Charla Ray Strum. Robin Brooke Sutherland. Robin Brooke Sutherland. Christopher Mark Sutterfield. Christopher Mark Sutterfield. Travis Swift. Travis Swift. Angela C. Swigert. Angela C. Swigert. Mark Lee Tagliaferri. Mark Lee Tagliaferri. Stephen Spencer Tate. James Eric Taylor. James Eric Taylor. Stacey Marie Tyler. Stacey Marie Terrian. Luann Marie Tebow. Luann Marie Tebow. Kristen Diane Tennyson. Kristen Diane Tennyson. Trina Jo Terry. Charmarie Teeley. Jana K. Thomas. Jana K. Thomas. Dallas Edward Thompson. Dallas Edward Thompson. Deborah Lynn Thompson. Deborah Lynn Thompson. Mr. Thompson. Misty Dawn Thompson. Sandra Gay Thompson. Sandra Gay Thompson. Stacy Mistel Toth. Stacy Mistel Toth. Thomas E. Towery. Thomas A. Towery. Thomas A. Towery. Janet Lee Trepka. Christy Diane Trook. Christy Diane Trook. Suzanne Tucker. Jelena Suzanne Tucker. Rick Tucker. Pamela Tuckett. Tracy Lynn Toonan. Clint Amon Turner. Johnny Tyler? Donnie Tyler. What did he do? Himself?
No, him.
Angela Utley. Stacey Ann Backlaw? Yeah. Stacey Ann Backlaw. Sujatha Vasudevan. Hugh Vu. Twyla Beth Walker. Twyla Beth Walker. Amy Jo Waller. Amy Jo Waller. Wynn Warren. Wynn Warren. Katie Kimball Webb. Katie Kimball Webb. Carrie Michelle Webster. Katie Michelle Webster. Oh, Carrie. Stephen E. Webster Jr. Rebecca K. West. Rebecca K. West. Gregory Don Wheat. Gregory Don Wheat. Rebecca Whitfield. Rebecca Whistler. DJ Alec White. DJ Alec White. DJ Alec White. Rachel Sue White. Rachel Sue White. Wade White. Dawn Elizabeth Whittington. Dawn Elizabeth Whittington. Julie Ann Weiss. Julie Ann Weiss. Angela Lynn Whiteman. Danelle Marie Wildrum. Dana Lynn Williams Lockman. Dana Lynn Williams Lockman. Christy Elaine Williams. Christy Elaine Williams. Stephen J. Williams. Stephen J. Williams. Matthew Warren Williams. Matthew Warren Willis. Randy L. Wilson. Randy L. Wilson. Nikki Lynn Winter. Nikki Lynn Winter. Karen Elaine Wood. Karen Elaine Wood. Stephen M. Wooden. Craig Aaron Woods. Joseph Lawrence Wilder here. Hi, guys. Wait a minute. Joseph Lawrence Wildridge. John Gavin Workman? Yeah. John Gavin Workman. Cynthia K. Wright? Cynthia K. Wright. Karen Denise Wright. Karen Denise Wright. James Lee Woo. James Lee Woo. Jennifer Yarborough. Jennifer Yarborough. Brian Reed Yockers. Brian Reed Yockers. Tim Humans. Jennifer Lee Young. Jennifer Lee Young. Yes, sir. Gregory James Ziders. Daniel H. Zeiler. And those graduating in absentia are Michael David Brewer, Daniel Winston Coffey.
Bless and illumine that through the knowledge of truth we may know your will and be led into your service. As we come to this time of commencement celebration, we are aware that there lies before these graduates a world filled with beauty, blessing, and opportunity, and yet a world mysterious, threatening, and foreboding. As you have been with the members of this class to this day, continue your reassuring presence. Grant not only comfort but courage for the facing of this in every hour. We are grateful for the wonders learned in library, laboratory, classroom, music room, on the athletic field, and in the social areas. Help us to put truth into operation in every realm of life. O God, on this night we commit to you the most precious treasure of our city and of our homes, these young men and women of the graduating class. May we all be ever committed to serve you always. Amen.